This is the Big MJ Debate. I'm Pez Jax.
And I'm Char McLachlan.
Today we are discussing Michael Jackson 4K. This week, Rock With You was finally upscaled into something. Well, it wasn't 4K, was it? It was kind of high
It was
definition.
it was three and a half.
So, knowing how we love to go off on a bit of a rant, we thought we'll talk about 4K and Michael's music and whether it should be time that the whole catalogue is upscaled.
It was time years ago. It was time years ago. The fact that we are at this point, 2025, yippee, we've got one more 4K release. We should have had them all long ago, and that is the hill I will die on.
Do you know what it is? It's like now that AI technology has got better, they're going, oh, we don't have to put in as much effort now. Because I think it
Mm-hmm.
even said in the press release, like the estate have been exploring different technologies to find the best one. And it's like, yeah, you can tell, hun.
Yeah, but also please don't sit there and pretend you're mulling over this and giving it lots of thought and it couldn't have all been done ages ago. You're not exploring to try and find the best technology. You've had access to the technology, you've just not used it.
There was a comment from an insider that said a couple of years back during COVID, actually, that um, the fans would complain if they didn't get the music videos in 4K from the first videos. So what I mean by that is like trying to word this the right way. Basically, there was a conversation about history being upscaled,
Yeah.
history videos, and the inside comment was, yeah, but the fans don't want to kind of like have the videos from history upscaled, but not like from Don't Stop. And I was like, yes, we do.
We literally don't give a monkey's.
Like, I actually think more fans would rather see dangerous history, and there wasn't anything really from Invincible except You Rock My World. Like, we'd rather see dangerous and history videos in 4K than we would see She's Out of My Life.
Oh, well, why do I feel like people in the comments are going to disagree with you? Perhaps this is subjective.
Yeah, maybe it's a
Uh,
generational thing,
uh,
whatever. But
per-
I'm like, come on, how can you not want to see like crisp, clear perfection within the closet?
no, of course.
I'm
I like.
deliberately not going to say one video because you're going to drag me for it, but like.
Uh,
Jam and any other songs from Dangerous, remember the time. But like, they are what we want to see in 4K. I don't I'm like, oh, I don't care about She's Out of My Life.
I'll be honest and say I do care, but not as much. I want to have all of Michael's music videos in
Yeah, but
4K for so.
sorry to cut you off, but it's like you say I care but not as much. But this is the equivalent of them like converting Cry to 4K before doing Earth Song.
No, I know, but
It's which knowing them, they'll probably
oh, they
do.
will. They will. They'll be like, guys, we found a deep cut.
Of Cry. He's not in it, but we've converted it to 4K for your leisure and pleasure.
I think this is it's interesting because it shows again how disconnected they are from real fans and how wrong they can get it quite often. Um,
I mean, look, with the biopic coming out at the end of this year, every music video should be in 4K by the time that biopic comes out.
if it's not, I honestly I give up because what is the point? What is the point?
My theory is that we're going to get all the off the wall ones done, which we know we will. We're going to have all the thriller ones done because they'll probably do Billie Jean by now as well. Now they've found the technology to do Rock With You, they'll probably do Billie Jean because I think they
Fun,
were shot.
funny that isn't it?
Yeah, I think they were shot in 16 millimeter, so that was like why they didn't do it before, and now they can or whatever. The bad ones have already been upscaled because if you look at the Moonwalker high definition,
Yeah, they're there.
they're already there. So they'll probably skim and put those out, and then we'll just be waiting for the rest because we know that they never go past bad because they
But
love off the wall thriller bad, and then they don't really want to do anything else.
but then look at how long Thriller, well, bloody Thriller 3D, but I didn't see Thriller 3D, but you said when you saw Thriller 3D it was upscaled, no?
Right, so I saw Thriller 3D and it was amazing. We didn't know we were going to see it. It was at the Scream launch party, and we walked in and sat in the cinema because we knew we were going to
Yeah.
see ghosts and music videos like Torture and stuff. And then there were just 3D glasses in everybody's pocket. And it was like you could see as you looked around the cinema, you could see it was dawning on everybody what this was.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's happening. And it's like, and then when it played, it was phenomenal. but they changed the audio. And they said the criticism came out. I think it happened in Sydney as well. I think Damien Shields pointed out that it happened in Sydney, or it was going to happen. Something happened in Australia as well, and it happened here. And obviously, fans complained to the estate because they were like, "You've changed the audio." And they said, "Oh, the wrong audio track was put with the video. It was never meant to be that," which is BS because when you listen to the Immortal soundtrack, the same sound that was present in the 3D version is in the Immortal track, which is also an
Oh
MJ1.
wow.
It's kind of like it's more stripped back and it's got more of a bounce. You know that kind of like frog sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That was really prevalent in
Oh
the
wow.
3D version, and they'd kind of stripped everything else back, and a lot of fans complained because they were like, "That's not the audio,"
Yeah, yeah.
but it's the audio from Immortal. So it was always intended.
Okay.
I don't believe for a minute, oh, we put the wrong track on. How does that work? So sorry, just diverting there, but Thriller 3D was amazing. But where is that?
Well, that's what I was going to
That,
say.
that
Like,
Thriller 40
it's
came out, and
it's
Thriller
sat
3D.
it's sat for all this time. That was what, 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Thriller 40 came out, and that same year, the estate at the birthday party played the making of Thriller. Why would you not play Thriller 3D? You've got it, it's done.
Yeah.
Why is that not available for people to enjoy? For Thriller 40, that should have been uploaded to YouTube. You should have been able to get the glasses in the newspaper like they did with This Is It, and you could be able to watch it at home. It's like, what's the point? And then they go, oh, it's a lot of money to do this. It's like, but you've already done it, and it's just sat there.
But also, what else are you doing? Not as if you need to save the funds for a rainy day. What the hell else are you doing?
Well, they send the funds for personal expense, no doubt,
Exactly,
because I hear
exactly.
somebody was
Here we
over
go.
here the other day for the closing of the musical. So I'm like, oh, first class flights was it, hun?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Um, so yeah, I'm sure it's probably not for Michael that they're saving those funds for a rainy day, but the music videos, it boggles my mind because Michael pioneered that medium.
yeah, yeah.
And we sat there and we watched them wax lyrical in the Thriller 40 documentary about like how Michael pioneered the music video and
Hmm.
you know who sat there grumbling away about how he was a big part of all of that. And then it's going to probably come up in the biopic as well. And then you're like, and then you go online, it's 480p.
No, I know.
And it's like, Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award, but it's in 360p on YouTube. It's like, it's mad to me. It's honestly,
It is. It's actually painful. Um, the fact that this is still what we're dealing with. I don't think it's going to be this way forever. I think eventually we will all have it. It's probably just by that time I'll be like needing 80 and it'll won't it won't be a thing anymore. Um, I think it's the bare minimum way of keeping Michael relevant. Not that he needs to be kept relevant, but do you understand what I mean
I
by that?
totally agree with what you mean. And I think, my perspective on it has always been that it's just one of those things where it's like anything Michael that already exists, they try to recreate. We know
Yeah,
that. So it's like, like when Thriller 40 with the Thriller 40 logo, discussed a million times. It was like when Bad 25 came out and they had to add the little crown on the top and all that. Like they always try to sort of reinvent the wheel when it comes to the stuff he left behind
yes,
to put themselves in as executive producers. We know that they do that. The fact that they were executive producers on Bad is ridiculous.
yeah, it's crazy.
What is it you executive produced exactly? So they always take what he did and kind of like try and change it and make it their version of what he did. Off the wall, like you couldn't get the original, you could only get the one with the chalk, and they'd kind of changed the font from it was like pink and yellow, wasn't it, to white, and it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
switch it out. They'd kind of cut him out more against the wall, and
Hmm.
they're always changing it to kind of be their version of his work. The music videos is the one thing they can't do anything with it. I mean, even
No,
Immortal, they took his music and remixed it
yeah,
because they
exactly.
wanted their version of that out. And they can't do that with the music video. The music video is just the music video.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so whenever it comes to kind of his work, Dance in the Dream is another example. They reissued Dance in the Dream, they changed the cover. They're always like trying to redo stuff he did with
Hmm.
their refreshed version of it, so it's more their product than his. The music videos are one area they can't do that with. The other area they can't do that with is his actual music. That's why
Yeah,
the two things we barely get any of because they can't put their stamp all over it.
yeah, a
They
hundred
just kind
percent.
of, oh well, we don't really want to deal with that, and that's why it's like when you look at the music videos, you're like, this is literally screaming out for this. People
Yeah,
They would rather people go and discover the musical than discover Michael's music videos.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where we're at. And that's, I think, after all the rambling I've just done, that's kind of the crux of the situation. They would sit there and go, do we want people sat in their bedroom watching Michael in 4K, or do we want them paying for tickets to a musical where they can discover our version of Michael?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And it's going to be the same with the biopic. As we know, it's going to be like, we want people to see this version of Michael Jackson, not this version. And I just, I've always advocated for the fact that I think he gets left behind and he gets lost and he gets sort of put in the background to their beliefs and their viewpoints of him and his career and his work. And I think not having the videos in 4K is kind of the most glaring example of that.
Yeah, no, I think you make great points, and it's hard because I am really, really, really trying desperately to keep an open mind about this biopic, but past if the past is anything to go by, which it almost certainly is, we know that it's probably not going to be the way that we want it to go. I think it's a shame that even the people who were potentially closest to Michael in life, whether that be when his young life or throughout his adulthood, the people that the estate choose to include in the biopic are only going to be people that were essentially favourable to them and their story and their version of events.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I agree. But there was a really good thread on Twitter recently,
mhm.
X, whatever we're calling it this week, that said, I hadn't thought about this, but it said, here's the reasons why you will probably not see Janet, Randy, and Reby in the biopic. I'm going to find the thread and I'll put it in the
Okay.
comments below. But it said you won't see Randy, Janet, and Reby in the biopic because they're the ones that have been the most vocal about the estate. They can't not include the Jackson Five.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, obviously, if they're doing a life story, they can't not include the Jackson Five. But Reby, Randy, and Janet are the three that are kind of like dispensable.
Hmm.
And they're the three that spoken out about the estate. I mean, I looked at Randy Jackson's official website this week, and he's got a whole section on the website about why he opposes the estate.
Wow.
So they're not then going to put him in the biopic, are they?
No,
Janet
of
is
course not.
obviously managed by Randy, and he's very close to Randy,
Yeah.
and she also spoke out against the estate. She's not going to be in the biopic as a result. And when I read this thread, and I was like, yeah, this is really, really true. This is
Yeah.
toe the line with us or you're not involved. I am fully open to this biopic. I'm very excited to see it. I think Jafar's going to do incredible things. He's going to perform the story he's been given. And I don't doubt that he's going to be great. I do believe he's going to be great. Um, and there will definitely be a very big distinction between the story he performs and his performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a good example of that is the musical. Like, I think the performers in the musical, from what I've heard from people like Eve, friend of the show,
Yeah.
is that the performers are great. The story, is open to interpretation.
Yes.
So I think that's the distinction I want to make about the biopic. So I don't want people thinking like, oh, you're just going to hate on everything. It's like, no, I'm not. I am going to be very, I'm going to go with a pen and paper. Um, but at the same time, at the moment, all we've got to go on is speculation. I know they're very tight-lipped, and we are a debate channel, and we are fans, and we do discuss things. So prove me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, where this was literally supposed to be about 4K, and here we are having another biopic debate. Um, but I am more than open, and there is nothing I want more than to love this. Honestly, I really, really mean that. There is nothing I want more than to love this, and for people who to love it. As I do with everything, Michael, have my reservations, and I will make the decision on what I think when I see it.
And ironically, we'll probably get the biopic in 4K before we get Michael's short.
Hooray! Oh, great.
Can't wait to watch Miles Teller in 4K running to buy the Beatles catalog before I actually get to watch 4K. But or Ghosts in 4K, so I would love to have Michael's work in 4K before
Yeah.
someone else's work, but oh, Han, you can whistle for that one because I don't think it's coming anytime soon.
No, I think we'll still be 5 years from now. They'll be like, "Oh, guys, here comes Jam in 4K."
I know, and it's like, oh God, are we still doing this? We're still rolling this out. It's
Everyone else is doing like 8K by that point.
Yeah, and then we'll be like another 25 years before that even we get the first one. But it's kind of like I don't mean to be. negative and moany and moody about it all the time, but it's like it doesn't have to be this way. I think that's what's so
No.
frustrating. It's like it doesn't have to be so convoluted and like, everything's got to come with this element of like, well, when you get it, you'll get it. It's like
Yeah.
there's no like I cannot think of a business case why we don't have these videos in 4K.
No, there is no benefit to that.
He pioneered the music video. He was considered the artist that was the music video guy. He
Yeah.
has awards named after him for music video, and yet
Yeah.
he is one of the last of his class
Yeah.
to have things in 4K.
Absolutely.
This is just not acceptable.
When people get older, I've seen it in my own family, they tend to not be willing to learn when it comes to new technology and they just don't want to know. Michael, I think, would have been the complete opposite. I think he would have been the opposite of a technophobe. Like he would have loved new technology and he would have wanted to have been the first to include it and the first to try it out. And that showed even as early as the 90s when he was doing chat rooms and stuff. I think now he would just be amazed by that. And I can't imagine what sort of impact it would have had if he was still releasing music.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and when we look particularly this week where we've had Rock With You finally upscaled.
Hooray!
Hooray! And it's like, oh, we're slowly dragging our heels.
Yeah.
We're gonna get. And I was like, we was out this week, and Seb and I were talking about Rock With You getting upscaled, and I was like, yay, clap, clap, clap. And I read the estate statement that said because Off the Wall was reissued last year on that MoFi, Hi-Fi, whatever it's called.
Uh-huh.
Because it was issued last year, we're getting the Off the Wall songs remastered this year. So I'm like, okay, well, make sense in the year of history 30.
Literally.
I'm sat here and I'm like, she's out of my life, 4K. Scream, 4K.
I know.
She's
I
out of my
know.
life, 4K. I don't give a I don't want she's out. Well, I do eventually, but right now I don't want She's
Oh,
Out of My Life 4K. He only sits there. I want Scream 4K. I want They Don't Care 4K. I want Stranger in Moscow 4K.
I know.
Want She's Out of My Bloody Life. And this is the thing. It's like instead of doing it like, oh, I don't think it's like just do it. You've got 2.5, 3 billion or whatever it is you've got in the back.
Yeah,
Just get on with it. You could
I
do
know.
a whole lot in one go, and it wouldn't be a drop in the ocean to the amount of money you'll make on musical sale tickets over the next month. Like that would pay for it alone. Just get on with it.
But I think this is the problem about we've said this so many times, but this is the problem of having people who are at the estate who here no, here I fucking go about the estate. But
No,
this is the problem with having people behind this that do not understand the way the industry works today. And that is just a fact. That is the way it goes because the fact that we're even getting music upscaled to 4K and dribs and drabs is a joke. Like, why are we still like this? Shouldn't be new and exciting. This should be the bare minimum.
yeah,
I think it just feels like we've said this so many times about subtle erasure and Michael being left behind, and it's all of these things that play into it. Like, we don't just say this for no reason. I think Michael not having his bloody music videos in 4K to me, I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't feel that's something to be excited about. I think bare minimum, bare bloody minimum.
yeah. No, I'm the same. I don't think we should sit here being grateful, like, oh, at least they've done. No,
No,
like
not at least.
it's kind of like if you was to go into, I don't know, if it was me and you were kind of taking stock of the assets that you have and the first things you want to achieve, surely like improving what's already there is an easy win.
Yeah,
You've got the money to do it and you've got the demand for it. And it's probably boils down to the fact that it's like, well, it's YouTube, so it's free, so we don't really
yeah.
earn any money off of it, so why would we do that? But we might give you 4K and put it on a DVD that you can buy for, for
Yippee!
99.99 or something like that. And then
Yeah.
then they would do it. Then
Oh
they
yeah.
say, well, yes, that makes sense. Here's the steel box set version for £498. So I don't know. I just think with 4K, it's just very frustrating because as
So
you say,
frustrating.
we're kind of like, oh my God, they've done it. And the way they drop Rock With You and they're like, surprise. It's like,
This isn't the flex you think it is, guys. It's really not. Like, it's just like let's all jump for joy and move on.
well, what was the comment that was made about us as fans by thingy? something about lipstick on a pig. I can just put lipstick on a pig and sell it to them and they'll buy it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Um,
That was one of the
can't remember. I
that was
can't
one of the
remember the
inside
exact.
comments, wasn't it?
Yeah,
About the
yeah,
fans from somebody high up that said they'll buy anything I give them or something. I just got to re put lipstick on a pig and push it out there and they'll buy it.
yeah, absolutely. I can't remember that now, but I remember the video.
Well, in answer to that, I'm waiting for that lipsticked pig because,
Yeah, come on. I might buy it. I might prove you right.
well, listen, if it was just taking the old stuff, putting lipstick on it and pushing it back out, I'd happily have that.
Yeah.
But you won't. You're like, no, let's create something new, which I didn't ask for.
Look how starved we are that we're admitting that.
Well, it's like, I think it's concerning because the biopic is a great example for like Team MJ to come forefront again. Like, I want the biopic to have the impact where like everybody rushes to YouTube to watch the originals and sees
Yeah.
them all in 4K. Everybody rushes to Spotify or Apple Music to listen to the originals. I don't really care for like the biopic soundtrack. I want
That's
Michael.
actually see what you've said there. That's actually really, really that's a great point.
What's that?
Sorry, because I've just completely interrupted you. But not having Michael's videos in 4K, and please forgive me if anyone think in fact, no, don't forgive me. I actually don't care if people think this is dramatic. Imagine the biopic comes out and Michael's music wasn't on streaming. I
Yeah.
feel like that's on the same level, to be honest. It's like you are not keeping him up to date. The fact that people are going to go onto YouTube and have to watch um whatever music video in 480p is the equivalent to me of going on Spotify and Michael's not on it.
But it makes him look dated. It makes
Yes.
him look old-fashioned, and it makes
Yeah.
him look like, oh, that was back in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like if you was to polish up in the closet, that could look like it was filmed yesterday because
Absolutely.
Herbritz's style was incredible, Michael looks incredible,
Yeah.
and the video's great. But the way it currently appears, it looks like it was made in the 90s because it's just grainy, it's not really clear. And this is the thing, it makes him look dated. I said this in our New Year's Eve episode, and I'm going to say it again. It's like when you think of This Is It, the reason the popularity of This Is It carried on for so long is
Hmm.
because everything that was being done was to kind of like follow through from the movie. So
Yeah.
you went to see the movie, and then you walk into Primark and you can buy a Michael t-shirt. You go into HMV, you can buy a Michael t-shirt.
Yeah.
You go to H&M, you can buy a Michael t-shirt. Fuck H&M. And then you go online and you can get limited edition vinyl with the t-shirt in the box.
Yes.
You go on Michael Jackson merch, you can buy the merch. You hear his music everywhere. He was at award shows, like his name was mentioned at award shows. Trailers were being played at the award. It was everywhere, and the
Yeah.
follow through was huge. But it all was about him.
Absolutely.
And this is the thing. If you're going to have this biopic follow through, like, what's the point in having a biopic? To tell a story, right? And then the aftermath of that has to be a spike in sales of the original,
Yeah.
because otherwise, what's the point?
That's what we're doing it for.
Unless this is a biopic for somebody else. Um,
Who could I?
well, someone else has got to cement their place in history. So, what's the point in doing it if you're not going to follow it through and get people engaged? People are going to,
Yeah.
like, I'll be honest, right? I never really was that asked about Elvis.
Hmm.
I've never really been asked about Elvis. I watched the biopic, and the
Yeah.
first thing I did was I came away and I went through Elvis and I made a playlist. I typed in Elvis
I
up.
remember you telling me
Yeah,
this at the time.
I'm not really a fan of like a lot of slow music because
Yeah.
I walk to a beat, so I'm always like marching along. So I like music with a beat. And so I typed in like Elvis upbeat songs and I made a playlist on Spotify and like I was listening to it again and again and again and again. And whenever the biopic came out, Burning Love by Elvis was in like my top 10 most listened to songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd never listened to Elvis like at all. Like, okay, I'm talking from personal experience, but that's the type of follow through I want to see for Michael.
Absolutely.
And the great thing about Michael is most people already know Billie Jean. They already
Yeah.
know Criminal, they already know Thriller, blah, blah, blah. But they have the opportunity to discover who is it and Will You Be There and Jam and other songs of history, which I'm throwing a blank, but like This Time Around and
Yeah.
Yes. And this is the opportunity for people to really discover Michael's catalogue.
Hmm.
And if it's not followed through with the same push, it's just going to fall flat. And I think 4K is kind of at the bare minimum for that. It's got
Yeah.
because
It
we're
is.
used to seeing things in a certain quality now. When I can watch bloody ITVX in 180.
I know.
And that's TV. You can get EastEnders in high definition now, but you can't get Michael
Oh, don't.
Jackson's music videos. Like, what?
And don't we know it?
But do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like
Realistically, like what kind of time frame do you think we're looking at?
for all of the catalog in 4K, you know what? We're going to say this, and then we're going to have them all by the end of the year, and it's going to be like egg on your face. But
Because no, but like, oh well, if that's the case, then fine. But I genuinely, if there was no release this year, I would say 10 years. Honestly,
yeah,
10 years plus.
I think that that's probably a fair timeline based on the way things are going. I mean, Thriller 40 was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
3 this year, yeah.
Yeah. And we haven't, this is the first one since those.
Yeah.
And even though
So
they only did,
actually, yeah, then if that's the case, then that's a pretty fair estimate.
yeah, like, I mean, and do you think we're going to get things like You Rock My World anytime soon?
No, and like here I go again, but come on. Come on.
It doesn't make any sense to me. He could be the first artist out there to have every single music video, first artist from his class to have every single music video in 4K. And the estate could do it tomorrow. With the money they've got, they could do it tomorrow.
I think that is the thing that kind of bothers me though, isn't it? Is like Michael and in terms of um I'm trying to let this not come out wrong, but basically what I'm trying to say is when you go on Whitney, when you go on Prince, when you go on such and such, their estates are putting out box sets that people actually want. Their music videos, most of them already are remastered. And it feels like Michael isn't at the top of his game even now. And that's not his fault. That's because people are putting him there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally, it does. And I think this is what frustrates me is that with Michael, the estate are still relying on the industry to
Yeah,
make him big and make him relevant. And this is why we discussed it in the Grammys episode we just did about like, the estate rushing to Billboard in 2019 to kind of get Billboard to turn their mind around when it's like no one cares about
nobody gives a
Billboard.
chuff.
But it's like, we are in an era where the power can sit with the artist. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to go and broker a deal to get a DVD released with everything in 4K on
Oh yeah.
and rely on a distributor and get someone that's willing to finance Michael Jackson products. You can upload it to YouTube,
You can do
right,
it. Yeah.
and you won't. You're still relying on the industry to dictate what Michael Jackson should and shouldn't have put out there. And it's ridiculous because the industry, by and large, kind of turn their back on Michael.
They do. Yeah, they absolutely
And
do.
yet you could take the power back by saying, fine. Like we all know that Thriller 40 took so long to come out, the documentary, because they couldn't find a TV partner because
Yeah.
old school at the estate wanted a TV network.
No,
Like,
no, I
when you got
know.
streaming services going around, then it finally ended up on bloody Paramount Plus, and now nobody ever speaks of it.
Nobody cares.
Nobody speaks about it. Do you ever hear anyone go, "Oh, that Thriller 40 doc"? Like, no one talks
No, I
about it.
know, I know.
And I just kind of think that we're in that position where you don't have to rely on anybody. You just have to put the 4K on YouTube, and it will deal with it. It's like if you don't want to,
It'll do the numbers on its own. Like you do not need to worry about it.
it's like if you don't want to promote him, we'll do it ourselves. They kind of
Exactly.
tried to do that when they were like, oh, in 2019 when they put Bad and Dangerous on YouTube tours,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
night that that stupid movie was on, they put Bad
Yeah.
and Dangerous on YouTube. And they put Ghost on YouTube at one point. It's like, so you can do it.
Oh, you can't. That's the most annoying thing. It's like they're always handing in the essay at the deadline at the last minute. Like
Yeah.
there's always something on the back burner just in case. But it's like, why can you just not do this anyway?
That's exactly it. And it is when you say had to get in at the deadline, but it reminds me of the Thriller 40 documentary where it's like it came like 2 years afterwards. And it's like, hun, we knew the 40th anniversary of Thriller the day Thriller came out.
Literally.
Like we knew when the 40th anniversary was going to be. This was not a surprise to anybody because the date like will always stay the same. And for them to have started work on it and not had a deal in place by the 40th just shows that they're like if they are going to do anything for history this year, they won't have started on it yet.
Nah.
You know,
It's
and,
a study the night before type job.
yeah, and we're less than 6 months away from History 30th anniversary, and if they are going to do a thing, I guarantee you it won't have been started by now. I guess our 4K hopes are just,
To have it would be great. To see it would be great. 4K hopes. I'd love, oh my God, I'd love, and I will eat my hat if all of Michael's music videos are remastered in 4K by the end of 2025. I don't think it's likely, but I would love if that was the case. And prove me wrong, please.
yeah, like don't get me wrong, I am happy to have Don't Stop Till You Get Enough in 4K. Like, yay, that's going to be great.
Yeah, but I'm not praising a fish for swimming. Like, come on, you should have done this ages ago.
I love
No,
when you
sorry.
come out with these references. Great.
I'm just not doing it. Like, I'm not going to be like, woohoo, 4K. Like, we should have had this ages ago.
Yeah, no, you're right. You are right.
I'm
Because
not like, no hate to people who are like, yay, but I'm like, guys, are we really this willing to like applaud them for such bare minimum work?
yeah, it's absolutely true. There's so many of those areas where we're almost like we do kind of act like, and I do it as well. I'm like, oh, great, that's really great. I'm glad that, and then you're right, we shouldn't.
Yeah,
Like, why
we're
have we not?
so sorry.
No, I was just saying, why have we not got ghosts in 4K? Like that.
Exactly, like we're so conditioned to be like, yay, for the bare minimum. Have you ever seen? I forget which psychologist did this experiment, right? But I will never forget watching this in uni. There was a psychologist that did an experiment on birds, and they basically would get these birds, and they realized the birds would eventually realize that when they pushed this button, a seed would come out.
Yes.
You've seen this?
Yeah.
And then they withdrew, and that meant that the seed would come out every 2 or 3 times. Then the seed would come out every 10 times, and the birds would get more and more annoyed because something that was once so rewarding was only given the reward a percentage of the time, and then it eventually got to every 50, and it got progressively crazier. And this is, in a sense, what has happened to fans. Like, now we're like, okay, guys, can we believe it? Because we're so used to such little reward
Yeah.
that, not reward, but we're so used to such little output that we jump up and down and clap our hands at anything.
Yeah, when a seed comes out. So, okay, let's take final stock. So, by the end of 2025, how many short films do you think we'll have in 4K? Bearing in mind we've got the two from Thriller and we'll have the three from Off the Wall. So that's five by the end of the year for sure. How many do you think we'll have overall?
7
Seven. I think
or
if we
maybe 8.
I think if we get any extra, they'll probably like just jump around and go, here's Smooth Criminal.
The ones that I have in mind are she's out. Obviously, she's out of my life. Don't stop till you get enough,
Yeah.
and
Maybe they'll just cherry pick because based on the biopics, we might get like if they cover black or white and
yeah, actually, that might be maybe. Do you know what? Maybe this is actually foresight because I imagine that every song that's in the biopic will be into 4K.
look at us thinking they've got a plan.
I know, but that would
As
actually
if they're
make
sat there going,
sense.
well, we should probably do black or white. We should probably do Screw because they're going to be as if they're even thinking about that. They're like,
They'll
biopics,
do that the night it comes out.
biopics October. We'll look at that in November.
Yeah,
No,
uh,
I think we'll probably get the five for sure. Well, we will have five by the end of the year.
yeah, yeah.
If we're lucky, we might get one or two more, but I'm not holding out much hope at all.
No, I'm not. There is a part of me that's like, could they do them all and just be like, there you go? But it wouldn't be very like them.
Not with a musical coming out in Sydney. Um, so we want to know what you guys think. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a rant, and please remember this is the debate channel. So we are here to debate and discuss and review and reflect. What do you think is going to happen with 4K in 2025? Are you excited to get more? Do you think we should be grateful to get more? Do you think we should have had them all by now, or do you think we should just be patient? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Oh, I'm waiting for those comments.
What I really wanted to say was, and keep it kind, please, guys. Nobody needs to be calling each other ugly bitches and whatnot.
Did someone call you an ugly bitch?
Yeah.
That's really unprogressive of me. I'm so sorry.
I'm like, okay, I'll take the bitch, but I'm not ugly.
I'm keeping all of this in the end.